Okay, so let's get on to this one. Let's go now from where we've been, talking about the mind and karma. Let's move now to how it all plays out in this, the real job of starting to really get to the root of the problem. This is like preliminary, but it's all part of the process, naturally. Because obviously you can't go to straight to E equals mc squared. You've got to do maths and everything first. It's obvious, you know. Goes one step at a time. So the Buddha's, this is where we're getting now to attempting to understand how to uproot ego grasping, the root delusion. This is the source of all the others, all the pain. The cause of the things we do that harm others, the cause of all our suffering, future and now. Okay, so one framework, as I'm saying, to understand ultimate and conventional reality is that is the framework to be able to understand this, the way things exist. So there's this intimate relationship between these two. On the face of it, they seem opposite because we have many misconceptions about these words, you know. Okay, so what Buddha's saying essentially is this. Finally, ultimately, same meaning, everything that exists, persons, microphones, carpets, relationships, moons, planets, you know, atoms, whatever we posit as existing, and this is really how they talk, and we've got to go into all this. So it's actually, Buddhism is actually a world view, how the world exists, how the universe exists, what happiness is, what something is, what minds are, what reality is, what things are. All of it is that. Buddhism is a big world view. So whatever exists necessarily exists in dependence upon various factors, which is then summarized by saying everything is a dependent arising. It's used as a noun. Everything arises, everything exists in dependence upon various factors. So that's suddenly, it's not like rocket science. We go, yeah, big deal, then, you know, so this is absolutely, massively, primordially important here. And there are various levels of dependent arising. So why is Buddha telling us something that seems evident, even superficially? Very simple. It's because he says that ego grasping, this root delusion, believes that things aren't dependent. We don't think we think that. So it's a puzzle to us. We don't think we think that. It's a puzzle to hear this. But he says that's the source of why we suffer. We impose upon things this absolute concrete reality. Look at the way we talked earlier about how we think about I. I didn't ask to get born. It's all their fault. I'm this innocent victim. In other words, a simple way of putting that is this. When you look at your garden, you don't see any relationship between you and the garden. It's this thing that's out there, the mistaken view, that somehow it's out there and you deserve a garden and you don't deserve weeds. So you see it as separate from you. You don't have any realization that that garden is the product of your work. You don't connect yourself to the garden. You think of it as separate from you. There's nothing in that. How dare there be weeds in my garden? Oh, look at those lovely cauliflowers. Greedily eat them all up. I deserve cauliflowers. What that is, that's attachment and aversion, and they are the expressions of this philosophical view that sees me as completely separate from my garden, that I deserve a garden. So that's how we see the world. I deserve to have happiness. I don't deserve suffering. How dare you do that to me? You'd better do that to me. There's this greedy kind of hubris there in us. This is the symptom of thinking there's no relationship between what I am and what's out there. I'm separate from it. That's the feeling of loneliness. That's the feeling of all the unhappiness we have. There's me and the world out there. So we either greedily try to eat it all up or we sort of push it violently away. So it's literally the expression of no dependent arising at all, no interdependence. We can see that. So with karma, the first level of dependent arising is that everything that exists in dependence upon causes. Whose causes? My causes. My garden's my karmic appearance. What is in there is the expression of my work. What's in my bank account is the expression of my work. There's an absolute relationship between what's in my bank and me. They're not separate. So Buddha's saying that about the entire life. Everything out there is the fruit of my past actions. We actually see it as all separate. Our science says it's separate. Or you have the creator who does it and gives it to you. It's separate from you. There's no sense of relationship. There's no sense of owning it. There's no sense of it being mine. There's no relationship to it. It's separate. Can you kind of hear that? Whereas the karmic view, which is the first level of dependent arising, an example, is that everything that's out there is the fruit. It's like your garden. Your life is your rich garden. And whatever is in it, you did it, baby. It's yours. It's so different, the view. It's profound. So then your action. I can't stand these weeds. What a drag. I better pull them out, baby. I want that delicious happiness. I better grow more. It's dynamic. It shows you're in charge and it's part of you. You're not separate from it. And that's the irony of ego. It's separate, lonely, bereft, nothing, nobody, poor me, self-pity. That's the first level of dependent arising. To counteract the self-pity grasping at poor me, who's innocent, who has nothing to do with anything, set in stone, not dependent on anything. So, second level of dependent arising is very tasty. More subtle. The second level of dependent arising goes like this. The Buddha's saying that every phenomenon that exists in dependence upon its bits and pieces. Okay, with the causes, everything that exists exists in dependence upon causes. That you won't find anything there that isn't the fruit of causes. There's no thing there apart from the causes coming together, culminating as an eye, culminating as a microphone. So the second one is that there's microphone that exists interdependently, dependent upon its parts, that you won't find any microphone apart from those parts, because microphone is nothing other than the coming together of the parts, but you can't pinpoint a microphone among those parts. So let's take now the phenomenon called I. So, okay, there are all kinds of phenomena in this universe. There's a microphone, like I said, carpets, watermelons, bowls, iPads, mugs, persons. We're an example of a phenomenon called a person, or a self, or an I, or a me. These words are synonymous. We are an example of that type of phenomenon. The universe consists of trillions of phenomena. So we're an example of a person, or an I, or a self, or a me. A cat is a me. A cat is a person. A Buddha is a person. We're examples of those phenomena. So let's look at that one and how this I exists in dependence upon its bits and pieces. And how you won't find, after analysis, which is the point, you won't find any bit apart from the bits. So let's look into this. Okay. So putting it more colloquially, more experientially, what Buddha is saying is this. Because of this ego grasping, because of this ignorance, we totally believe 1,000,000,000% all the time, unceasingly, constantly, that there definitely is among all these parts, this is the parameters, isn't it? There's a cushion there. That's a microphone. So the parameters of this phenomenon are sort of here, aren't they? This is the parameters, do you agree? Of the phenomenon called I. These are the parameters. So as far as Buddha is concerned, we can say keep it simple. There are two parts. There are all the parts of your body, and there are all the parts of your mind. And we know that there are millions of pieces of the mind. That's called this thought, that thought, anger, jealousy. They're the parts. They're the bits and pieces that make up your mind. And then you've got all the bits and pieces that make up your body. And the bits and pieces of mind and body, the two pieces, that's what makes up an I. Would you agree? So then we believe, because of this ego grasping, totally believe, 1,000,000,000% all the time, that there is among these parts, that there is definitely a part a boss part, a big part, a part that runs the show, like the landlord. There's a big important part among all the other parts. As Pende, who comes here, says, I quoted him from years ago, who that's like walking hand in hand with the other parts. And that big fat boss part is called I. We believe that 1,000,000,000%. Our language expresses it. And Buddha says, don't be ridiculous. Not only do you not have one, you don't need one, babies. This is absurd to our mind, isn't it? Look how we talk. I say, you hear it, listen to it, have a hand. Look, I have a hand. That's my foot. So what we mean by that, there's an owner in there who owns the hand. We know that. We feel that utterly, without question, totally, 100%, trillion% clear. There is an I in here somewhere that is the owner of the bits, who owns the nose and owns the ears and owns the hand and owns the anger and owns the love. And it's a separate bit. It's the boss bit. It runs the show. It's the landlord. Are you hearing me, people? It goes without saying that there's an I in there. We feel it somewhere here. We say it with absolute certainty. All our psychology says there is. Our science says there is. We assume there is. All of our science and all of our psychology reaffirm the presence of an independent I. Even we say in our culture, we are social beings who are necessarily separate from others. And so in order to become your proper I, you've got to socialize by other I's. We think this. The Buddha's view is actually we're schizophrenic. Lama Yeshe would say we're schizophrenic. This ego grasping causes us to believe that there's I here, but one of the other consequences of this is that it causes us to feel that we're a separate I, cut off from everybody else. So we've got to socialise to become my own eyes. That's why two halves have to come together. That's what we call a relationship, isn't it? Each of us propping up the other. That by definition, we're nothing until we're socialised. We're nothing until someone else says hello. We believe it. All our psychology reaffirms it. Our science says it. We assume it. We don't point it out. We don't know what it is. We just don't give it names. But we assume it. And Buddha says, there isn't such a thing. This is what these Hindus did. These are geniuses. These geniuses 3,000 years ago. And they did come to a conclusion that there is a very subtle thing there that is called a self, an Atma, similar to the Christian teaching called soul. And that's where Buddha diverged. So it's more nuanced than it sounds. It doesn't just mean, oh, well, there's no soul, chuck it out, I'm just me and my body, that's it. No, not like that. It's way more subtle, way more nuanced. Okay, so let's look at the consequences of this. Let's look at the point of this. Let's see if we can try and prove, even intellectually, how there isn't such a one and how there can't be one. So we'll do a little experiment. Okay, so I can tell you that I have a table, forget everything else, okay? A table, some watermelon, and a vase of flowers. Do you agree with that? It's a statement of fact. So, okay, this is an interesting point, by the way. Words are kind of important. Because if words come out of my mouth and I say I have 14 vases of flowers on my table, the first thing you'll look is over here. You'll look to where the voice is coming from. You'll get your eyes, you look at those shapes over here, and you'll identify there's one vase, won't you? And you'll think, poor Robina, she's mentally ill, won't you? Do you understand? Do you understand? And Buddha says most of the time we're lying. Our words are like vomits that have no basis in reality. No wonder we're all crazy, you know. And we don't even know we're not speaking the truth. It's just unbearable. So words are important, and words express thoughts. So if you hear me say, I have a table, some watermelon, and a vase, you know, because we know these words, we've learned English, we identify this shape and colour here is labelled watermelon, we identify that's labelled as a vase of flowers, and we identify that's a table. So only because we've all bought into these labels, we can accept then that what I just said was a truth, isn't it? relative truth. And you'll go, that's right, Robina, you do. Phew, she's speaking the truth, you know. You understand? It's reasonable. It's perfectly reasonable, isn't it? Good. So now the point is this. The point is this. The point is this. If that is a true statement, conventionally, if that's a true statement, we have to point out, so, okay, how many phenomena did I mention? Generally, what are the phenomena? How many phenomena did I just mention in that statement?
3.
Okay, good. So, but what about the first one I said? What was the first phenomenon I mentioned? I. Would you agree I said I?
Yes.
Have a table. That's 2 phenomena. You agree? And watermelon, a bowl of watermelon and a vase of flowers. That's 4 phenomena. Would you agree? Reasonable, isn't it? Like if I said I have $4, you want me to prove I've got $4. You understand? There's got to be 4, and this is the point. There've got to be 4. For that to be conventionally true, you have to say there are 4, hear the word, separate phenomena, meaning each of which doesn't depend upon the other for its existence. That's the meaning. So it's very obvious. My watermelon is watermelon, and the flowers can survive fine when my watermelon goes. Do you accept? The presence of watermelon does not depend upon the vase of flowers, and the vase of flowers does not depend upon the watermelon for its existence. It's very simple, isn't it? You agree with that? So then the table doesn't depend upon those either. The flowers can go, the table's happy. I can walk out the door, the flowers are happy, the watermelon's happy, and the table's happy. You agree? They're separate phenomena. Really easy, isn't it? They're 4 separate phenomena. And that means you can point them out, they've got their own name, they've got their own function, and they don't exist interdependently. Interdependently here means you couldn't have one without the other. But they are dependent, aren't they? They're independent. They're not interdependent, are they? You agree? You agree? You agree? You agree? Okay, good. I'll tell you another statement. I have a nose, a hand, and a foot. Okay? Now, without going to be a big drama queen here, without even doing any analysis, conventionally speaking, the way we talk, that can be proven quite easily. Without drama, without analysis. There's the foot, there's the hand, there's the nose. Do you understand? And you can accept that that's a true statement. Robina does indeed have a nose, a hand, and a foot. Do you accept that? Can you accept that? But now let's do the analysis. Let's do the analysis. If that's a true statement, then you have to do exactly the same as the previous one. We have to point out how many phenomena did I just say? How many? How many? No, how many phenomena did I mention before? Now, how many I mentioned this time? No, I said I have a nose, a hand, and a foot. How many phenomena is that? No, how many phenomena is that? No, you're not here. You're getting too tricky. Speak simple. How many phenomena did I mention? Thank you. And each of those is a noun, isn't it? So I said 4 nouns. And I said an eye, a nose, a hand, and a foot. Oh, an eye is a pronoun, isn't it? Okay. There were 4 phenomena. You remember? Okay, good. So let's do the analysis. And if that's a true statement, that means there have to be 4 phenomena that exist separately without depending on each other. So my foot, cut it off, it's fine. My hand can still carry my watermelon, eat my watermelon, can't it? Do you just understand? My foot does not depend upon my hand in its function. Do you get my point? To function. My hand to function, to do its job of holding watermelon, does not need a foot. You accept? Yeah. And so for me to walk, my foot does not need a hand. Do you accept? Do you accept? Good. My nose does not need a hand to snort and blow and sniff, does it? Do you understand? Cut my nose off, cut my hand off, cut my foot off. Now, where's the eye? So, in other words, where is the piece that's called eye? Please hear. Where's the piece that's called eye that doesn't depend upon the foot, that doesn't depend upon the hand, that doesn't depend upon the nose, and indeed the pee-pee, the caca, and the eyes, and the ears, and the anger, and the love, and every other tiny bit that makes up Robina? Where is it? Point it out. That's the one we believe in. And it's made up. It's not true. And the believing in it, the fear of the eons of believing in it, is why we have suffering. I know it sounds hilarious to think this. And this is not the subtlest understanding yet. We won't even go there yet. So any suggestions of where this I is that does not exist independent upon the other bits? That's the point of dependent. Any suggestions?
I is the mind, not the I.
Good. Okay. Good point, Wolfgang. Let's analyze it. Good. Okay. Do you accept that mind is a component of a thing called an I? I just said before, I is a name. I is the name here. I'm a type of phenomenon called a person, and a person's made up of two parts, mind and body. You agree? So if I am the same as the mind, why would you say I have a mind? Because they're both the same thing. It's redundant.
You cannot say I have a mind. I am the mind.
No, you're not the mind.
I am the mind.
No, you're not the mind. Wolfgang, please listen. Be careful. Be careful. We said two things. We said I and mind. We said mind is a part of I. We said, no, we have to first establish what an I is. And we're just saying simple, an I exists in dependence upon its parts. And the two parts of an I are the mind and the body. Do you accept that? We have to first accept that, Wolfgang.
If I say I'm the mind...
No, wait, Wolfgang, wait. Do you accept that, okay, we have to first establish what an I is. So we have to go back to basics again, because you haven't accepted the definition of an I. So do you accept that person you're an example of a person? Do you accept that you want an example of a person? Do you accept that that person has a body?
I have a body.
And do you accept that person has a mind?
I am the mind.
No, you're just being clever now. Think about it. No, stop. Then if you think your mind is the I, then you have an I and a body.
Yes.
Good, okay. So now please point out that I that is not your body.
Yeah, it's inside me.
Oh, really? Is it? I see. The I is in your body, is it? The I is. No, okay. So try and prove why the I is the mind. If you only so what you're saying suddenly now that I and mind are synonymous.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So I is another word for mind. So anger is a quality of I. Jealousy is a quality of I. Is it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you say I is the mind? Please tell me why. Why are you saying your I is your mind? Tell me why. What is the mind? Please tell me what a mind is. What's your mind? What's mind? What's mind, Wolfgang? What is your mind, Wolfgang? We're using Buddha's views here, but tell me what you think your mind is. Buddha's saying it's your love, your kindness, your compassion, your jealousy, your depression, your anger, your ego grasping. You're good at piano, good at music. That's your mind. They're the components of your mind. They're the parts of your mind. They're the parts of your mind. And Buddha would say that the mind is mind is the main part, because when you die your body's gone, but the consciousness will continue. And the I, Buddha would say, is a name we give to that mind. But you want to say the mind is the same as the I. Why do you say that? Please give me some logical reasons while I eat my watermelon.
Please help me.
No! It's your proposition.
I think. My mind.
If you say you think, then think is... Well, then you just said my mind thinks.
That's right.
But you're saying I and...
I think means the mind thinks. I
So-
feel. My conscious, my mind feels.
Well, let's look at...
I'm sad.
Yeah, I agree with all those. I agree.
My body is not sad. My body is...
I agree. Your mind is the mind is the main part of you. The Buddha would say your mind is the main component of Wolfgang. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say it's the main component and also say it's Wolfgang.
Oh, sorry. I am. So it's not a component. That's the center. That's what I am. And this mind owns the body.
It owns the body, does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when the body dies, mind continues and gets into heaven, gets a new body, whatever.
So you're saying your mind, your thoughts, but then are there many parts to this I? Are there many parts to this I of yours?
The mind.
I and mind are the same.
I feel. I am sad. I am happy.
But you can't be. If your mind and I are the same, you wouldn't say those words. If they'd be the same thing. Your mind and your I, you're saying they're stop. You're saying they're the same thing. So then you wouldn't say I feel. You wouldn't say I'm angry. You wouldn't say it's schizophrenic, because your I is the same. You just say anger. You wouldn't even say the word I. You wouldn't bother.
This is right, yeah.
Right. So then when someone punches you in the nose, what arises? I did not do that. How dare you? See, I think you're not being very realistic. When you look at your mind, have you observed things like anger, jealousy, intelligence? Have you observed that? Have you observed that? Have you observed those? Okay. Have you observed that you say the word I?
Conventionally.
No, I'm not. Wolfgang, come down to earth. Have you observed that you say I am angry?
I I am angry.
Have you observed you say that? And have you observed you say, I am jealous, I'm intelligent? You observe you've said that. And you have a feeling of I who am jealous. So you're saying two separate things. You're saying two separate things.
I am happy.
That's two separate things. That's two phenomena. You wouldn't say it if they were the same thing. You wouldn't say it if they were the same thing. You would never say those words, ever once. You would never say those words. You wouldn't, but you do. So that's proving you don't think your I is your mind, I would suggest, to think about that. So the Buddha's saying that the mind, this continuity of mental moments, and the continuity of your physical moments, there's billions and billions of those, they are the components that make up what we call Wolfgang. So when you say Wolfgang has a nose, a hand and a foot, when we eliminate the nose and eliminate the hand and eliminate the foot, what we're left over with is a Wolfgang. Or if we say get rid of anger, Buddha says you can get rid of anger, which means you're thinking you can get rid of the I then. So there's no anger, there's no I. Plain silly. So if you say I, what you have to point out, if what's left after you've eliminated, let's say I have a nose, a hand and anger. If I have a nose, a hand and anger. So there's anger, take it away. There's nose, take it away. There's hand, take it away. So you've got to find, what you've got to be left with is the piece called I. You've got to be left with that piece, which is the one you believe in, which is the one why you get insulted, why you get proud, why you get hurt, why you get jealous, why you get oppressed, why you worry about things, is because you're believing in that component. And you say, I am worried, I am jealous, I am depressed. And it's to feel like a real thing in here. So what Buddha's saying is, you won't find such a peace. You won't find such a peace. This is speaking simply. It's not even the subtlest level. It's not even the subtlest one. Because the I, this is getting us to the subtlest one, because I, it's a very nice watermelon. This is the subtlest one. Because Wolfgang, or I, in your case they're synonymous, are merely the name that are imputed on the parts, and the parts are body and mind. That I is merely a name imputed on the parts. This is the subtlest meaning. So cup, I say, my cup has a handle and a base. Conventionally it does, but now try to find the cup that isn't the handle and isn't the base. It's exactly the same. You won't find. You don't take away the handle, take away the purple paint, take away the green paint, take away the green clay, take away the base, take away the sides. You feel like you'll end up with a cup that owns those things. You can't. You won't. It's impossible, because cup is a name we impute upon the parts. I is a name we impute upon the parts. But we think there's a separate I. Beyond the parts. Sometimes we also think, like what Wolfgang's saying, that the I is the same as the mind, or the I is the body. This one here is, and if it is the same as the body and the same as the mind, you don't need the two words. They're synonymous. They'd be the same thing. So don't bother saying, I am angry. You wouldn't say it, but we feel it. He says it every day, like the rest of us. So first of all, there is no I that is not dependent upon past causes. There is no I that is not dependent upon its parts, and there is no I that's not dependent on the mind that calls it that. So the final meaning of emptiness is that there's nothing, these are the words, there is nothing from the side of cup that makes it cup. There's no meaning in cup that doesn't come from the mind. Not one atom, not even an atom, Lama Zopa says. So our trouble is this: as soon as we hear that, we go sailing off into nihilism, and we mistake the ultimate reality of emptiness as being nihilism. Therefore, there is no cup. Therefore, there is no I might as well kill myself. We sort of chuck the baby out with the bathwater. It's a great analogy. We throw out too much. This is the extreme view of nihilism, such that the second we hear there is no I from its own side, there is no I in and of itself, there is no I separate from the mind, there is no I intrinsically, there is no I that isn't dependent upon this and that, there is no inherent I. These are all the terms they say. As soon as we hear that, we can't hear it in the nuanced way, so we go, there is no I. We chuck it out. We chuck out too much. Then we hear Buddha say, there is an I that does exist in dependence upon causes. There is an I that does exist in dependence upon parts. There is an I that does exist in dependence upon the mind, calling it that. And then we get overexcited and we go to the other extreme and we reify it and go, oh, thank God, there's something after all. Grasp. We go too far in that one. So we run between like these two views, eternalism and nihilism, like drunken sailors. It's like platform 9.5, 10, was it 9.5? Harry Potter? I've heard about. So the middle way is the real place between these two when these two come together. Right now they're separate. We run depressed, nihilist, hopeless, nothing, no meaning, no purpose. Everything's empty, doesn't matter anyway. We say it. It's utterly, profoundly wrong. Then we say, oh, dependent arising, there must be something. And then we grasp. We go to the two extremes and we run between these instinctively, primordially. And these two are the philosophical positions. This is the creator one, which is superior to this one. This is nihilism. There's nothing. You might as well kill yourself. That's our materialist view. There's nothing. What's the point? Nothing's worthwhile, you know. So we've got to bring these two together, the two truths. So dependent arising means emptiness. Emptiness means dependent arising, whereas now we think it's the opposite, you know. Okay, let's take a different tack, okay? Look at it differently, another perspective. Let's look at the word. Okay, let's look at the word emptiness, because it completely throws us. I will go, oh, my cup's empty. Now, we know it means there's no tea there, because that's our language. We know that tea goes in a cup. So I'll say, my cup is empty. So what we're saying is there is something that does exist, a cup, that lacks something else. It means that, doesn't it? There is a cup that lacks tea. We just say, oh, my cup's empty. You look in the room, oh, the room's empty. We'll mean there is a thing that does exist called a room, but then lacks people. That's how we talk, isn't it? It's a comfortable language. Empty. It's empty. You know, I feel so empty. That's a bit different meaning, actually. But forget that. But this one is very comfortable, very practical. So you look in your bank. Oh, God, my bank account's empty. We'll say. We mean empty of dollars, don't we? Okay, so let's rephrase those statements. Let's rephrase those statements. All right. One thing that, when you study Buddhist philosophy, you learn, the very beginning, you learn about the different terms for what exists, because we have to try to work out what exists. So Buddha's got different phenomena, different synonyms for that which exists. One is phenomenon, object, object of knowledge, existent, established base. There's at least 5. I can't remember, there are more. Synonyms for whatever exists, and they've all got different definitions. Okay, so a phenomenon, we're pointing to a thing, aren't we? So a thing, you'd say it's a noun, isn't it? A microphone's a noun, isn't it? Would you agree? String, electric wire's a noun. This is a noun. A cushion is a noun. An eye is a noun. I mean, a person, Robina, is a noun. A clock is a noun. You get my point here? So now that's one point. Now the second point is the mind, its job is to cognize. The job of mind is to cognize. Cognize what, Buddha? That which exists, baby. So you have subject. Mind are referred to as subject, and it cognizes something, which is an object. So object here doesn't mean a physical thing. Object here is meaning that which mind cognizes. So if you say, then I would say my cup is empty. So you could argue that my mind is cognizing the fact that my cup is empty of tea. Would you say that, couldn't you? So let's turn what it's cognizing into a noun. Let's turn what it's cognizing into a noun. Are you with me, people? You can hear the language. So that would be called emptiness of tea. Can you hear that? It's abstract, but it's a nounal phrase. It's a noun, isn't it? You can observe the fact that there is no tea in my cup. You can observe the fact that my cup is empty of tea. So the mind needs to have something to grab onto to cognize. So it's called absence of tea. It seems abstract. We wouldn't talk that way. So what your mind is cognizing when I go here with my eyes, and then I deduce that there is no tea here, my mind just cognized the absence of tea in my cup. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Would you agree that that's purple on this cup? You agree that we call that purple, yeah? So purple is an object of my mind, of my eye consciousness, isn't it? My mind is cognizing a phenomenon called purple. That's a noun, isn't it? Simple. So you agree? Now let's say, what's your name? The green shirt.
Ramesh.
You, darling, what? Ramesh.
Ramesh.
Ramesh. Let's say Ramesh is colourblind. And when we present purple to him, let's say he sees blue, let's say. So, let's say. Now, blue doesn't exist here. We accept that, don't we? So then you could argue to him when he sees this cup, we fix his eyes, and now his eyes are fixed. Normally he sees purple. Whenever we present, normally he sees pink. What did I say? Blue. Normally, because his eyes are wrong, he perceives blue when purple's presented. Well, it's not blue, is it? Conventionally, this is not blue. It's purple. Do you agree, people? So we've got to help him see the truth, isn't it? So we fix his eyes. Okay? So now we'll show him a purple cup. Now, you would think that he now sees purple, wouldn't you? Oh, but he doesn't first. He'll get the shock of his life. He'll go, oh my God, it's not blue. And why would he say that? Why would he say that? He's expecting blue. Every time he's seen purple, blue appears to him. So all his life he's trained in believing a lie, hasn't he? Would you accept that, Ramesh? You can hear that, can't you? He's believed in the lie. He's believed in a lie. So he's programmed with believing in the lie. So the truth is revealed to him, but he gets the shock of his life. He'll go, oh my God, it's not blue. Wouldn't he sort of say that? Can you hear that point? Let's say he believes there's $1,000 in his bank. Totally believes $1,000. He's been saving it. He believes $1,000 in his bank. It's as real as if it's there. And he opens the bank and he discovers there's a zero there. Believe me, he won't say, oh, that's interesting, no dollars in my bank. No, he'll say, where's my $1,000? He'll get a shock of his life. Won't he? Can you hear the point? So what he just cognized is the absence of $1,000. What he just cognized is the absence of blue. It sounds abstract, but it's very vividly true. He saw that zero triggered the recognition that his $1,000 are not there. So the $1,000 not there is called the absence of $1,000. Can you hear that? Let's say Urs leaves me, and I come home one day and there's no Urs. You get me? What I'm observing every day in the house is the absence of Urs, aren't I? You maybe have never heard of him. You come home, you don't see the absence of Urs because you've never heard of Urs. But I will notice the absence of Urs. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the emptiness of Urs. So the absence of something is very vivid when the mind sees it. So the Buddha's saying this. For eons and eons and eons and eons, we've been grasping at a fantasy I that doesn't exist. That's all. Just hear those words. A fantasy I that doesn't exist. An independent I. An I that doesn't depend upon causes. An I that doesn't depend upon parts. And an I that doesn't depend upon the mind calling it that. Never mind, just call it a fantasy I. There isn't an I there, like the blue is a fantasy. Like, the dollars are a fantasy. They don't exist. But because we wanted them to exist, we believe they exist, we've expected they exist, and we've believed it for a billion eons, this I, then when the first moment in the depth of your mind, in subtle concentration, after years and years of hard work and purification and practice, one day, the moment will come, you'll have a direct cognition of the absence of that fantasy I. And as Lama Zopa says, and it's in your teachings, I'll read it out to you. It's very fascinating. Hang on a tick. I'll read it out to you. Where did I put the teaching? I can't remember. I'll try and find it. Hang on. I'll read it out to you. There we go. Excuse me. All right. It's very delicious. It's very intense, you see what I'm saying. You must read it. It's in the book. Where's open? I can't open it there. Let me just borrow yours. Can I? Sweetheart? Thank you so much. Oh no, it's the wrong book. I didn't give it to you. Oh, it's not there. Sorry. After all that. I gave you a teaching on emptiness by Lama Yeshe. It's very lovely. So what Lama Zopa says, from the first moment you finally, because you fixed your mind, you see the truth. You first see the absence of the blue. So here we fixed our mind and we finally are going to see emptiness for the first time. What that literally means is that for the first time you will observe that there isn't that I that you thought was there. It isn't there. And what that means is you've just observed, cognized, perceived the absence of the fantasy I. It's a dynamic. It's not just, this is where the biggest mistake about emptiness. Oh, it's like saying, oh, there's no dollars in the bank. It's all empty. Think about this before I go back to Lama Zopa. Think about this. Can you hear the difference between the two phenomena. One phenomena is called $0, and one phenomenon is called the absence of $1,000. Can you hear those two phenomena? Are they not very different? They're extremely different. $0 is like nihilism. Oh, well, there's no I, what the hell? But the absence of $1,000 is way more tasty, way more intense, because it's the absence of what you thought was there. Seeing zero is easy, but the absence of what you thought was there is a much more powerful phenomenon, and that's the truth, because you've now finally realised there was never $1,000, let's say. It was a fantasy you made up.
It's an absence of illusion.
Well, don't get too carried away, Ramesh. That sounds very lovely. You've been reading the texts. Don't go there. I don't want you to say that now. Do you see because it's like we say these words, we love these words, illusions, all this stuff. Don't say that, if you don't mind. You can say what you like, but I don't want to say that. I want to keep it grounded. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? You're right, of course. Don't say it like that. So, what Lama Zopa says is when you finally, at the subtle level of your concentration, in subtle concentration from years and years, if not life after life, of hard work, of analysing dependent arising, because that's the reasoning you use that triggers the insight, that what the fear is so intense, it's unbelievable. For two responses. The greatest yogi has bliss and joy, that finally you see that thing you always believed in has never, doesn't, and could never exist, and you're liberated. It's like joyful. It's like finding $1 trillion. You're blissed out. The other response, which is also pretty intense, is unbelievable fear. Not the fear, he said, of the ordinary I losing something, but the fear that there isn't that I, that your eons of lives and all your experiences have been based on. He said it's a very powerful kind of unbelievable fear. But it's good. And that's why they say, which says when you meditate, you might get a moment of a flash of fear. He says, you don't resist it. You go in there. Because you'll never lose your I. You'll never lose your relative I. You'll never disappear. It's not possible. So there's nothing to be afraid of. So you've got to let it come and walk into it, not resist it. That'll just block your realization of emptiness, he says. So emptiness is what I'm meaning is by the word emptiness, a shorthand, is the absence of something you thought was there that isn't. Nothing there is nihilism, but the absence of something you thought was there is very, very different. It's rich and nuanced. And that's why if you get this understanding of the two truths together, you can never become nihilistic. So as Holiness says, in the Heart Sutra, when Buddha says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form is nothing other than emptiness is nothing other than form. Why he says form there? Because it's the example, it's the first of the different categories of phenomena. The Heart Sutra just lists all the categories of phenomena of the universe according to Buddhism. And the first group is the 5 aggregates, and the first of those 5 is called form. But anything could be there. You could say, I am empty. Emptiness is I. I is nothing other than emptiness, and emptiness is nothing other than I. And what that means literally is this. Okay, do we accept that there is a bank account? And do we accept that there's the absence of $1,000? Yeah? So where does the absence of $1,000 exist? It's not a tricky question, it's a literal one. In the bank account. Where else where did you look for the $1,000? Where did you go to look?
I looked in
the bank account. Good. And where did you find the absence of $1,000?
The same bank account.
There you go. Can you hear that? So emptiness of $1,000 is a real phenomenon that does exist somewhere. We go, oh, empty, it's all empty, there's nothing, it's all empty, there's no anything anywhere. That's just not, it's absurd, it's nonsense. If I think there's $5 in my pocket, I will put my hand in my pocket to look for it. I wouldn't look over there in the cushion, how stupid. I'll put my hand in my pocket and I'll go, oh, what did I just discover? The absence of $5, didn't I? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So where does the absence of $5 exist? In the pocket. So where does the emptiness of the inherent I exist? On the aggregates, the parts. So you can never have nihilism. There's no such thing as no I, the way we hear it wrongly. So there's nothing to be afraid of. So as Lama Zopa says this, when you've realized there is no inherent I there, it's as if there is no I. but there is an I. But what does exist, dependent arising, is so subtle. It's as if it's an illusion. It's as if it doesn't exist. So on the one hand, there is not an atom of I from the side of the components, from the side of the aggregates. And when you realize that, it's as if there's no I. But there is an I. But what does exist is so subtle, it's as if there isn't an I. It's as if it is an illusion. So these two truths come together. And this is the middle way. And then when you know dependent arising, you know emptiness. And when you know emptiness, you know dependent arising. So it's bringing the two truths together. Right now they're separate because we're deluded. So bring them together. That's why the most marvellous thing to do, as Tsongkhapa says, is whenever you think about dependent arising, which gives us the feeling there is something after all, cling, you think, ha-ha, Robina, that means emptiness. And every time you think emptiness, instead of becoming nihilistic, that tells you it means dependent arising. And these two slowly come together. And then when you're finally a Buddha, you will cognize simultaneously dependent arising and emptiness. They are the same. They will be cognized simultaneously. Until then, even the greatest yogis in their meditation can cognize emptiness. And then out of there, and bopping around in the universe, as Tsongkhapa says, in songs of hymns of experience, they see phenomena appear to them like an illusion, existing not from their own side, but nevertheless they still function. So there is no cup from its own side. You can't find a cup from its own side, but it still holds my tea, baby, and I can drink from it. That's the tricky put these two together. And the crucial piece is where you start to define things. You've got to define what its function is. And when you understand that, that function is a massively important point. Because emptiness doesn't, merely label doesn't mean, oh, well, you can call anything anything. I can call this a knife. No. What's a knife? You've got to define it. A knife is a long piece of metal that cuts things. Well, baby, this is not a long piece of metal that cuts things. But it's a cup. What's a cup? The flat-bottom container that holds my tea. That still does that job, even though you cannot pinpoint it. That's what they're saying. You can't find anything inherent there. You can't find anything that doesn't come from the mind, not to mention the parts or the causes. So it sounds like tricky. This is not just tricky yogi talk. This is the experiences of the yogi, the truth. So, of course, the point of all this is, when we get this, bring these two together, it kind of flattens the mind in the sense that the mind becomes more brave, more courageous, less up and down like a yo-yo, less ridiculous, more clear, more wise, more courageous, more blissful, more radiant, more expansive, until you fill the universe, And then your eye is as big as the world. There's no longer a separate sense of I. That's the final one to go, which seems pretty schizophrenic to us. The main result of having this delusion is with all these millions of separate eyes all walking around, So when you fully develop this and added bodhicitta to the mix, it's as if your eye is as big as the universe, encompasses everybody. There's literally not a separate sense of I, literally. And the mind is blissful and radiant and clear and beyond delusions and infinitely wise and infinitely compassionate. That's what Buddha says is our natural state. And he's speaking literally, not fantasy. I'm looking forward to it. So ask me some questions. Only caught to 4. Yeah.
You talk about the absence of the I, which we thought...
The absence of the independent I.
Independent I. How about you also mentioned about the community, the middle way?
The middle way, yeah.
Middle way. So how about, can you tell us a bit more about...
What, darling?
Can you tell us a bit more about what's present? We talk about what's absent.
Well, exactly. I know that's the point. But that's what I mentioned. Lama Zopa says. That's his point. When we realize the absence of the fantasy I, it's as if there's no I. Emptiness. But there is, dependent arising. But what does exist is so subtle, it's as if it doesn't. So speaking just colloquially, what you could say is this. When you realize emptiness, to whatever degree, then you exist on this planet with a body and a mind and people and things and cakes and toilets and goods and bads, you see reality crystal clear. You see there's war there. You see the maniacs who do this. Not to mention that, but you're clairvoyant. You see the minds of others. And because you're so blissful and radiant yourself, in your heart, because you no longer cling to a neurotic I, your mind is vast. You see things as they are. You have enormous compassion. You'd be vast, you'd be clear, you'd be wise, you'd be blissful. You'd be the best of everything in yourself. And life would be more normal than normal, more real than normal. So you'd still see cakes and toilets and goods and bads and Syria and Mr. Trump and blah. It doesn't look different, except you have a profoundly different view of seeing it, and nothing is fear-based, nothing is no delusions, there's only clarity, there's only compassion, there's only wisdom, and you have infinite wisdom that sees the past, sees the future, and you can help others. That's the way to say it. But there's no inherent any of that either. How does that sound? Tasty? Good. What, darling?
Pretty complex too.
Yeah, of course it's complex, but don't think of it as complex in itself. We can comprehend it. It's like E equals MC squared is complex. I bet you. I haven't heard. I wouldn't have a clue, but you can go there if you're interested. And the real point about this is the thing I'd say, and it's not meaning being against science or anything. It's not that. Please believe me. We talk about it in science. It's amazing these days, all these conversations His Holiness is having. It's incredible, wonderful coming together of different views. But the big point is this, I would suggest. The Buddhist view is the implication of understanding all this complexity of dependent arising and emptiness is only so that you get rid of ego and become a more blissful, more wise person. So you can have science coming out your ears, but if you still go home and beat up your wife, what the hell is the point of that? It's intellectual. So it's got to be combined with morality and goodness, because that's the reality of it. So the consequence of getting rid of ego is you become more blissful and radiant and kind and compassionate. And if clever science doesn't help you do this, then you're missing something. That's the point. That's the point. Do you understand? What else, people? Yeah. What happened?
I have a question.
Yes, sweetie pie.
Who or what becomes enlightened?
You do.
So,
Just keep it simple.
so
But dependent arising you.
okay.
You see, that's the difference. In other words, dependent arising and emptiness don't counteract a cup and a toilet and a you. But you see them so radically different. You can still say you get enlightened. But as Lama Zopa likes to put it in his dedication prayer, the I that is not existing from its own side achieves enlightenment, which is not existing from its own side. So you've got to keep adding those extra components, those little kind of things. Because we say the word I is fine, but you can have a thinking, there's an I that's independent, or there's an I that's dependent. And we've got to get used to just saying the word I, but put dependence on it, not dependence on it, and not independence.
So I'm dependent to right.
You are, whatever exists,
Whatever exists.
exists in dependence upon causes, parts, mind labeling. They're the three principles of the three levels of dependent arising. Everything that exists interdependently. There is no I separate from causes. There's no I separate from parts. There's no I separate from the mind calling it that. There's no I that isn't interdependent. So there is an I, but no independent I. It's not trying to be tricky. We've just got to get used to the words, that's all. We've got to get used to it. So one of the ways they talk, this is interesting, Wolfgang's point. If the mind and the body are the components of the phenomenon called I, what was I going to say? I lost the plot. What was I going to say? I was lost now completely. I went in two different directions and I forgot both. What was I going to say? Where were we just there? What happened?
What is it that becomes enlightened?
Yeah, that's right. What is it that becomes enlightened? I forgot the point. So the more you try, the more you lose it, isn't it? So we'll leave it there. Don't forget. Any more questions? Yes, darling. Yeah.
A car.
A cow.
A car.
A
Is nothing more
That's
than
right.
1,000 spare parts.
Precisely. That's everyone is the same.
Nevertheless,
Yeah.
if you have a row of 1,000 spare parts,
Yes.
it's quite different.
It is exactly right.
It's
Precisely.
very different.
Exactly right.
But
Exactly.
nevertheless, It's just 1,000 spare parts.
It's true. Exactly. So your point. So therefore, the point.
So a car
Uh-huh.
is something different than 1,000.
Of course, it is. You have to put them together first.
But at the end, it's just 1,000.
Yeah, but it's not just. No. You see, if you don't put the pieces together, you won't be able to get in it and drive away. So it is made up of those bits and pieces. But what we do is we impose carness onto it. We impose more than there is on the car. We forget that it's made up of parts. We think there's an energy of a car there that's sort of like a soul in there that makes it the car.
There's something more. There's something more than 1,000.
No, there is something more because the function. Just the function. The function. The cup is not an atom of cup here from its own side, but nevertheless, it still holds my tea, baby.
Yeah, the function.
The function. The function is the key to success. Yeah. That's why in the very beginning, when you study Buddhist philosophy, before we begin to discuss anything, we have to come to an agreement about what something is. So we have to define our terms. So, Mummy, what's that? Well, darling, it's called a cup. What's a cup, Mummy? Give me the definition. And she will tell you two parts. She will give you the first part of the definition, which is its conventional characteristics, that flat-bottomed clay container. So when I learn those meanings, I will then verify that indeed it is a flat-bottomed clay container. But I'm not happy yet. The crucial piece, the fundamentally necessary piece, is the second part of the definition. But, Mummy, what does it do? Well, just being a flat-bottomed clay container has no meaning, which is what our art in our culture is. It's got no meaning. It's just like, shapes. Excuse me. It's all right, artist. So, what does it do, Mummy? It holds my tea. Oh, now I know what it is. And then the point is this. Once I realise the emptiness, that there's no cup that exists, this is the real one, that hasn't come from the mind agreeing. The very defining of a cup proves the subtlest dependent arising, that it's coming from the mind. There's nothing there that makes it a cup. We call it a cup, we make it a cup, we say it holds tea, and it also does hold tea, but it all comes from our mind. And then we all buy into it, we sign the contract, we shake hands and we agree. That's called a cup. But the point is, it's what holds your tea. An enlightened being is a term we give to a Buddha whose mind is pervading the universe and helps sentient beings. That's the function. You can't just call anyone a Buddha. It's got a function as you stated it, as you established it. We've got to establish. Then we can see that before we called it a cup, there is no meaning. There is no meaning. Listen to this. This is really also very powerful. I find this very tasty. In Buddha's view of the mind, you've got sensory consciousness and we have mental consciousness. So it's what's fascinating is if I look over here and I'll go, oh, what a pretty cup, and I might say that. I might say that. Oh, it won't stay. Okay, never mind. It won't stay. So I might say, wow, what a pretty cup. Now, we would all be forgiven for thinking that a pretty cup is the object of my eye consciousness. We think that, don't we? My eyes go here, and in a millisecond I go, what a pretty cup. Well, Buddha says, don't be ridiculous. The senses are like dumb animals. They are profoundly limited in their capacity for cognition. And you listen to this, you'll see it's true. So what's happening is this. Eye consciousness goes here, and then quicker than Google, and I mean it, my mental consciousness is accessed where all my trillions of memories are held. The Buddha would say there's nothing that I've seen or tasted or touched or smelt or thought about since beginningless time that's not stored in here. It's just that we can access about a trillionth of a percent of it. That's why we can be clairvoyant eventually. So then whatever I have stored in here that I can still access in this life, it instantaneously, not even a millimetre of time breaking between the cognition from the eyes and the picking up of the label, pink or purple and this and Chinese and flower and my taste and the green and the shape and a cup, all of that information, and that's in the mental consciousness. And guess what that is? A bunch of thoughts, a bunch of opinions, a bunch of viewpoints. So Buddha's saying everything in our mental consciousness at this level that we function day to day is necessarily a concept. So I hate Urs. He left me for a younger version. That is an opinion. That is a beautiful cup is an opinion. I am Robina is an opinion. And all Buddha's saying is some opinions are valid and have some basis in reality, and some are just wacko maniacs and have no basis in reality at all. And that's his job. We've got to distinguish the neuroses, the liars, the fantasies, and rip them from our mind. And then the relative ones, the relative reality are the virtues. They're not totally reality yet until we realize emptiness. Because if I have compassion, let's say, for Urs, then there's still an independent I that has independent compassion for an independent Urs. But when I realise emptiness, then it becomes genuine valid cognition. So the virtues are relatively valid cognitions because they're in sync with reality. And what's the reality? Dependent arising. Think about that. When we're having communication, having fun and talking to each other, and I have sympathy for his headache and he has sympathy for my constipation, and oh, Robina, I'm so sorry, darling, I know how you feel, that's called empathy, isn't it? And you see two people chatting away, having a nice time, you can see that what is prevailing at that moment is love and compassion. Would you agree? Look what happens when we fight. Look what happens when we fight. But look at when we're harmonious. There's a feeling of a connectedness there. Would you agree? Literally, there's a feeling of we. That's dependent arising. We're interdependently connected. That's reality, Buddha says. So when everything is working beautifully, everything is harmonious. Even the elements behave harmoniously, which is the fruit of virtue. Dependent arising is the way things are. Things exist interdependently. There's nothing you can pinpoint separate. But look what happens now when we fight. Ego, the we is cut in half. There's poor self-pity me here and mean ugly over him over there, and all this jagged energy, right? That's because we're now not in touch with dependent arising. We're in touch with self-pity me, which is the opposite of it. So delusions are liars. They're believing in the nonsense. That's why there's so much pain. But when you're in touch with reality, relative reality, virtue, they're valid cognitions. Add wisdom to it, and that stuff is what reality is, because that stuff's in sync with interdependence. That's reality. This is provable, Buddha says. This is not made up. It's not made up by him and imposed. This is how things are, he says. What was the first part of that sentence? I forget. What did I say before? What did I say? Remember what I said earlier? I forget. I was going to go back to the beginning and I forgot again. I think I've got Alzheimer's. Oh, memory. Senile. Are we communicating, people? I said I want to say something interesting, but what did I start? How did I start it? What did I start with? God. So sorry. Oh, yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yes, that one. Yes. Listen to this. This is proving emptiness. If you forget all your memories, if you've got all the things, and you look at this, you just go blank, don't you? Huh? There's nothing there, is there? You can't call it purple. You don't know a shape. You can't call it anything because your mind has gone. Your mental concepts have finished. So everything is mentally created. Buddha says the entire universe, all the eons of lifetimes, all the hell realms and the gods and everything is created by eons of concepts, eons and eons and eons of stories. And there are some valid concepts and some non-valid ones. We've got to get rid of the non-valid ones. Then we are in touch with reality. Everything is made by the mind. He means it literally. And the added extra interesting point when it comes to karma and the physical world, this is coming in the Vajrayana now, so helpful. In the Vajrayana model, we're made up of we've got gross consciousness and gross physical, inextricably linked, and that's our day-to-day person. Then you've got subtle consciousness and subtle body, which is the subtle channels, the airs that course through those channels, and all the different states of mind that course through those channels, riding on the winds, as they say. So the winds and the states of mind are intimately, intimately connected. So as Lama says in Kala Chakra Tantra, there are these detailed descriptions of the intimate relationship between external and internal energy. External means the physical, internal is the mind, thoughts, concepts, all the other. So, he says, when the mind is, say, negative, angry, it pollutes those wind energies, which in turn karmically develops and causes you to have sickness now and in the future lives. It's the cause of being born as a sick body is the fruit of killing. The cause of having a healthy body is non-killing. So Warren Buffett, 87 years old, maybe 88 by now, I've been telling the story for a few years, 88, 89, fit as a fiddle. His daughter said, I've never seen water pass his lips. His diet, since he's a boy, even when he went to some fancy, 27 course, fancy $4 million menu of some fancy Japanese restaurant on 57th floor or something, he ordered his cheeseburgers, his flavoured Coca-Cola and his vanilla ice cream. That's his diet. And he's as fit as a fiddle, and he's 87. So that's due to past non-killing, environmental karma, his body's fat and healthy, and due to non-killing in the past, his experience similar to the cause, he's still alive. So karma is always the first cause. And that whatever you do in your mind, So in turn, anger, Rinpoche says, pollutes your wind energies, which in turn cause sickness, which in turn impact upon the external elements and cause them to appear this way. The configuration of the 4 elements. The universe is made of the 4 elements, okay? And they are also beginningless. God didn't make it, and they're not something from their own side, like the science says. The way you experience the 4 elements is due to your past karma. So you're born in Zurich. I tell you, Zurich really is clean. Switzerland, isn't it? They say it's clean, you know. Even the houses just look clean. The kitchens look cleaner. The floor looks cleaner. The streets look cleaner. The buildings look clean. You just can't help it. They look clean. That's strong morality karma from those people who get born in Zurich, you know. You understand? If you live in India, you just can't, everything's just dirty and old and broken. You can't help it, you know, unless you live in the 35-story multi-million dollar houses in Bombay, you know. It's past karma. The elements, even the way the elements manifest is a result of the collective karma of those sentient beings. How come San Francisco erupts, you know? The collective karma from 1 million lives ago of those sentient beings who lived there at that time, the very physical world explodes in front of you. Everything. So the mind makes everything. What a hell realm is, as Lama Yeshe said, hell is not some place where the devil is waiting, saying, ha ha, I'm waiting for Lama Yeshe. It's the manifestation of the negative energy of that suffering sentient being. It's their karmic appearance. And if you think of all the elements, if you think of the universe is made of the 4 elements and the minds. That's it. And every mind, as they say in Vajrayana, is inextricably linked to its own set of the 4 elements. So whatever the mind does impacts upon the 4 elements. This is the universe. This is how it exists. So, what's a hell realm? Well, karmic appearances of insanity and craziness and suffering from countless lives, like a bad dream. Everything's like a bad dream. You created it. And your mind, you could argue, is conjoined with fire energy. What do you think a spirit is? Mind conjoined with air energy. Look at the animals and humans, mind conjoined with fat old bags of bones, you know. Look at a God realm, mind conjoined with light. The fruit of the karma of all those sentient beings. These are made up by our minds. They're not places where God sends you. That's schizophrenic. They're our own karmic creation. Everything in the universe for countless eons is our own karmic creation. We are the boss. It proves emptiness. Yeah.
Let's see if this comes out right. So
Give it a go.
Let's pretend like you don't know emptiness, dependent arising. You see yourself as a separate I.
We all do, yeah. That's how we are.
Earth is over there and he cheated on you.
What, sweetie, what?
Earth is there, he cheated on you.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretend that though you do know emptiness. How would that change that?
Oh, totally, darling. Did you hear Lama Zopa's story?
No.
Drowning. There was no fear.
Look at it differently.
No, because there's no fear, because there's no grasping at an eye. Therefore, he's experiencing he's in the water. He knows he's drowning. He still tries to save himself, but his mind is not disturbed. That's all. Your mind isn't disturbed, darling. That's all. You're not stupid and going, oh, I'm drowning. Who cares? You still save yourself, but your mind, try to imagine your mind isn't disturbed. That's all. That's the way to it. Just delusions are disturbing. So
you go through this divorce really easy.
you'd do what you have to do. You'd have wisdom. You'd have compassion. You might be sad. There's a close karmic connection. But there'd be no delusions, darling. There wouldn't be jealousy. There can't be. There can't be attachment. There can't be jealousy. You do whatever works. You wouldn't be sort of flatlining, kind of boring. You might have a tear, but there's no delusion. There's no disturbance. Disturbing emotion is a good word for all the neuroses. We think they're normal. But when you're rid of those, you only have wisdom and clarity and compassion. Now, maybe because he's been cheating on me, I might be quite firm with him. But that's out of compassion and out of kindness, not out of delusions. You do what's wise and best for both people. There's no disturbance. Try to imagine no disturbance. This is like unbelievable to think of there be no disturbed mind, whereas for us it's completely normal. And we think you'd be weird if you didn't have disturbed mind. We think you'd be weird if you didn't suffer. Do you understand? So it's quite shocking what Buddha's saying, but kind of exciting. Do you understand? Okay, I think it's time to go home. 4 o'clock, on the dot. Okay? Time to go? Enough food for thought, everybody? So we think here we've been several hours, all these thoughts we've had, all these seeds we've planted, how amazing. We've done masses of gardening all day. And we think all these seeds we've planted, may we nourish them from this moment forward with our work, with our effort, with our study, our practice, whatever we do, you know. So that these seeds can grow in the future as we decided in the beginning, motivated, to develop into our marvellous potential for our sake and the sake of all sentient beings. Never forget. Kewaji nyududag lama sangye drugyune drowa chikyang malupa Rei sala kupashok Jangchob semchog rinpoche ma kye panam ke gyuchig kye panyampa me payang gong ne gong du pabashok. Thank you, Margaret, for having me, inviting me. Thank you very much.